Well, as you can see, an epic one broken down into spec 1, spec 2, spec 3. It's the spec that can be assigned with this line to the product backlog that can be further assigned to the sprint backlog. And yet you have another option. For some teams, why not the product owner directly assign a spec 1 into the sprint backlog, into a development sprint, creating the story copy 1, story copy 2, and story copy 1, 2 for the spec 2. As you can tell, sometimes a requirement 1 might need to be assigned to create the third copy of the implementation commitment of the story. So what is a product backlog? This picture illustrates the requirement as the epic and the spec will permanently exist. They will live one layer above of the product backlog. As you have the development team 1, development team 2, and development team N, multiple teams running the agile project that requires multiple teams, each team will have the way of creating development sprint, running a continuous set of sprints. Each team might have their own product backlog or might have shared product backlog. You might have multiple N agile teams but only have 3 product backlog. And in terms of a big project, often team 1, team 2 are developing a specific component of the big product. And one team, like a team N, might be responsible for making sure all the components can be integrated. So the working software containing all the components from the multiple teams will be working properly. Now you start to see the backlog dedicated for the integration team might have a different nature of the team 1 and team 2. The team 1 is working just specifically for a product component. Their development work has an obvious value to end users. As a product component, often the value to end users is kind of straightforward, whether it's a password reset or it's a way of increasing the web traffic, the time the potential visitor will be spending more time on the website. Versus the integration team, often such work can be more technical, less really functional value added to the end users. So how do you organize the product for an integration team can be very challenging. But before we talk about the integrations, let's kind of summarize the relationship between requirement and product backlog is the requirement is more conceptual. It lets the product owner team to see this is the product in our brain. This is the product we can think of. We can think of ideally this is the product we want to have. And then the product backlog are really representing the imminent, the dynamic, committed set of requirements that are being represented as stories that need to be picked up by each of the teams. Having a requirement layer automatically increase the scalability for a multi-team to work on a big project. So just want to read these bullet points. The backlog contains a list of story and the task. Often, the backlog contains all the defects found so far. However, the backlog often contains only a small set of the requirements that just committed as stories. A story as an implementation copy of a requirement. The backlog is prioritized, often by the product owner, and reprioritized at the start of each sprint. And that the backlog is a backlog, meaning they are to be assigned by the team to pick them up or to commit them. So the requirement, and you think of more, this is the way we are going to see our product. It can contain a lot of requirements that yet to be committed, representing 3 years later, these are the big requirements we want to commit. They won't be in the product backlog. However, in the product backlog, you have all the defects. You have a dynamic set of the story that need to be picked up almost immediately by your teams. So here is a sample product backlog. Very simple. It's the story, it's the task. Sometimes a standalone task representing a defect or whatever, they do not have a parent requirement spec linked. They just represent a standalone task. So whether it's a standalone task or it's a story, often you're going to do the estimated time, really the estimated points, and also you're going to prioritize them. So this one is a different way of, a graphical way of representing the product backlog. So where they are prioritized, whatever the priority value, like 9, 7, 6, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3. Oh, there should be 1, 1, 1. They are listed in orders. So if this is for team 2, then for the team 2, obviously the product owner has already committed. This is the first item you guys should commit. This is the second one. This is the third one. Obviously, sometimes just a priority value is not enough. There is a hidden value, which is the priority order. For those items sharing the same priority value of 4, 4, 4, 3 of them have a listing order in a hidden way. It's actually recognized, remembered, so that all the backlog items are always prioritized, listed. As you can tell, sometimes a requirement story like 83-2 is already broken down into one task, sometimes 2 tasks, sometimes like this 88 story, it doesn't have a task. So you can still estimate the time needed as well as the points. So use the time remaining or the initial estimate time. All the points represent the size of a development task or a commitment of a spec, which is a story, in the product backlog.